This is Farm to Market, a podcast about farmers and the people who love them. This is an awesome episode because we are with Ashley Nathe. Hi, Ashley.
Hi, Sina.
We are at her family farm, which is Riverside, and it's absolutely beautiful. It's a beautiful fall day, yes, and there's mums and pumpkins and gourds and squashes. But yeah, how are you feeling today, Ashley?
Good. This is exciting. I've never done something like this, so this will be fun.
Yes, so this is actually really a special episode to me because the farmers market has never really had managers like you and I.
You don't say.
Yeah. So we are breathing this new life into this market. But let's first start about if you can just explain like who you are and a little bit about the farm and your role at the market.
Okay, so I'm Ashley Nathe, as you know, but maybe some other people don't. I am the new general manager at the farmers market. I started at the beginning of June, so I came in at the height of the season.
Yeah.
Previous to that, I was working here at my family farm. I was doing everything from harvesting to making produce deliveries, to planting corn, planting cabbage, peppers, you name it, and as well as running some of our cruise guys that we have come up from Mexico on H-2A visa programs.
That's so cool. So, this is my third season at the farmers market. And so we've kind of, seen each other at the market.
Yep.
But we never really got to get to know each other. And so this has been like a really amazing journey to get to know one another, because when I first met you, were
What was your impression? Okay.
Well, okay, first of all, you're drop dead gorgeous, and you would come in with these hanging baskets. So you were like this farmer fairy coming in with all these beautiful flowers, and like your farm has been around forever. So you had regular customers. So we really didn't have much time to get to know each other because you guys were pretty busy. Yeah. And so that's and then you would leave.
Right. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, because we're only there for a limited time, and it seems like you're there for a really long time when you're down there. But if you think about it, the time goes by so quick.
Yeah. So you're at the market, and we'd say our hellos, have our coffee, and then you'd go. And then when the role opened up for a general market manager, one of the our board members and her husband said that you were interested, and I was like, wow.
Surprising, right? Yeah. Like, wait a second, I thought she was down here as a vendor.
Yeah. So kind of what made you, tell me that story. Tell me who told you about the role and then like why you wanted to be the general manager.
Yeah, so as a kid, I grew up at the farmers market. In fact, my parents actually met because of the farmers market.
Oh my God, that's so cute.
I know, isn't it? Back in like the 80s, they had a farmers market dance.
Yeah.
And that's where my mom and dad met.
Oh
Her cousin was married to a reseller. And she was like, Sue, you should come and meet this really great farmer. Like, I think you'd really like him. And my mom's like, I don't know. And she's like, come on, you're coming. So my mom and dad kind of were like on a blind date of sorts, I guess.
This is just absolutely insane. So your parents, they didn't know each other, but they were around each other at the market?
No. So my mom had never really been down to the market. Her cousin was just married to this reseller.
Okay,
so like
got it.
She knew of the market.
Yeah.
And her cousin was like, yeah, come on, so you should come with us.
Okay.
So my mom was like, I guess.
Okay, keep going.
So, I mean, if you think about it, I'm kind of on this planet because of the Minneapolis farmers market, right?
I was just thinking that.
So they end up meeting and they end up getting married. I mean, fast forward, right? So they end up getting married and have me, and I end up growing up down at the farmers market. And from as long as I can remember, there was always somebody who would walk down the aisle who ran the farmers market, and I thought it was really cool. And I really liked how everything seemed to come together, how he like placed all the people in their stalls and all that stuff. Well, I always thought it'd be really cool to be him when I was a kid. Okay. His name was Larry. Yes, I'm not kidding. This is a true story.
Yeah.
So when Bonnie Dean, actually it was Bob Dean.
Okay.
Bob Dean said, Ash, are you interested in the general market manager role? And I was like, I don't know. And he was like, come on, I'll tell you a little bit about it. Call up Bonnie, talk to some of the board members, and, find out a little bit more about it and see if that's something you're interested in.
Mm-hmm.
So after talking to a couple of people, I was like, you know what? Like, why not?
Yeah.
Like, it's something I've always wanted to do. It's something I felt I would be good at, but it's also something that I thought would help me further my knowledge in an industry that I really love, which is farming.
Mm-hmm.
So when I interviewed for the position and with talking to all the board members, I was like, you know what? I really feel like I can bring something to the table here.
Yeah.
So I accepted the job. And I feel like in my time that I've been working at the market and with yourself, I feel like we have done a lot of really positive things for the market.
I agree. I mean, honestly, how long has it been?
So I think my first day was May 28th.
May 28th.
May 28th. I remember it because I got no sleep the night before.
Yeah.
It was like super hectic.
Uh-huh. Yep. So I remember it so clearly as well. So for folks that don't really know the market schedule, we are open year round. May through October is when we're open daily. So when we have our Nicollet Mall Farmers Market, it's 8 markets a week that we run. And at the beginning of the season, we're welcoming our farmers back, our plant or flower growers, and then we prepare for our vegetable growers to get here, usually end of May, early June.
Yep.
Yeah. And so at that point, for that first month of no other market manager but myself, I was just extremely like,
poor thing.
Yeah. I'm like, who is it gonna be? We need help immediately.
Right.
I'm so worried because this job, you can't do this job alone.
No,
Yeah.
I would totally agree with that.
And so when they offered you the position, for one thing, I was super excited because I just think it's important that a farmer's market that's run by farmers has somebody with farming background, because we had a lot of interviews where we really talked to a full spectrum of type of people that wanted this job. People with management, but not farmer's market background.
Sure. Yep.
And so when you got hired, we did our first rounds where Ashley and I, as market managers, when we start the day, we go through the market, make sure everybody's in their stalls correctly, say hi to vendors. Ashley's just like, I'm like, this is our new manager. And she's talking about watering systems.
We're talking about irrigation. We're talking about fertilizers.
Yes.
We're talking about plants.
Yeah. And in that moment, I was just so happy that you got the job.
Oh, that makes me happy.
Yeah. So I'm a market manager as well, but our roles are pretty different, but we work together.
Yeah.
So I'm really working with our customer base, our marketing, our programs, like our food access program. And then Ashley's doing, go ahead, tell them what you do.
So I do a lot of work with our membership directly in regards to their stall fees, their membership fees, if they have any placement questions. So every weekend I put together this big old Tetris map of how these farmers are going to fit in these 3 great sheds. So that's a lot of work in itself.
People seriously till this day thinks that markets just happen.
Yeah, I agree with that.
And it is not the case.
Yeah, I agree with that.
170 stalls.
Yeah.
Go ahead, tell them about what the vendors can have and what they can't have, and some of the struggles of putting together a perfect layout for the market.
Oh my gosh.
And we got to give you so much credit because we threw you in there.
Yeah, really, that is true. It was sink or swim, have fun, Ashley, bye. So yeah, there's a lot that goes into it. There's certain farmers that they need 2 stalls, sometimes 3 stalls.
Yeah.
And then you have your annual stall members that they get to be in the same stalls 24/7.
Mm-hmm.
So now with the daily farmer that needs 2 or 3 stalls, you have to find a place where you have a gap between annual stall members and a daily, stall member. So there's a lot that goes into the map that I do every weekend, and to get everybody's stuff in there and have it fit and have it look not seamless, but appear to be so. Right. And then, like, when you mentioned we have to do our rounds in the morning, well, we're mainly looking to see if somebody has something on their table that they shouldn't have. Like, if you didn't put on your application that you're going to sell flowers this year, I better not see any cut flowers on your table, because that's not okay. Yeah. Or, with the growing seasons the way that they are, we want to offer our farmers the first chance at selling tomatoes, not our reseller. And, with raspberries and apples and melons, peppers, the same thing. So I'm really looking to see if they have any of that stuff on their table, and if they're behind the line, we don't want them too far out into the walkway. It's fun. There's just a lot of stuff that goes into it to make it happen by the time that the consumer gets there. Right.
Yeah. So, in those moments where it's not perfect and a vendor breaks a rule, like, big smiles from Ashley right now. Yeah. So tell me, like, how, because you're still a new manager, and when a vendor's not happy, tell me about some of those situations.
So my biggest thing is I feel for the vendor on some of the things, because I have been the vendor.
Right.
But I'm also now the manager, and there are some things that fly and there are other things that don't.
Yeah.
And I guess the best way when I find something that happens that's breaking a rule or whatever is to really just explain to them why I can't have that, and have them see my point of view. Yeah. Because I'm not just going to go out there and, like, lay the law down, and just hammer it in. But, like, we got to meet each other halfway. And usually all of our vendors are really great about that. I haven't had too many people give me, like, a super hard time. But at the end of the day, there's a market to run, and you have to follow the rules, because if you allow one thing for one person, you have to allow that thing for every person. Yeah. And a lot of times that's not gonna work. So
right. Because as market managers, we do have to think about the bigger picture.
Yeah, absolutely.
And one thing that I love about you is that you are so good at understanding, though it is a bigger picture. We are humans, we're individuals, we have our own struggles. I mean, you get there first. So you're there at what time?
I usually get there at 4:30 on Saturdays.
And how many vendors are there before us?
At peak season, there's probably a good 10, 15 that are waiting.
And probably didn't get much sleep the night before.
Correct.
So we get a little tood sometimes.
We get some cranky folks in there sometimes.
But setting all that aside, I feel like because we kind of struggle, we get up early in the morning and we get our market set up, our stall set up. Once everything's all set in stone, those moments of, you better put those flowers away, type thing. We just, like, get back to what we're here for, and we let go of.
Yeah, that's a really good point. Yeah, even if somebody does come in crabby and they've got a little bit of a tude, it's almost like it's forgotten as soon as the market starts, because they're like, wait a second, this is what I'm here for. Yeah. This is what I want to be here for. It doesn't matter if I came in tired. It doesn't matter if I'm crabby. Like, I'm here to sell. I'm here to provide the consumer with their needs. And at the end of the day, I kind of got to table the tude I came in with, because I want to be
I love that
my
we're
best
using
self.
The word tude.
Yes. Such a mom word.
Right. Okay, so all right, so now, end of May, we're in the middle of October. You had this perspective of this job as a little girl, seeing Larry. And if people know the farmers market, Larry was...
He was the guy.
He was the guy. I mean,
he was the guy.
There's, like, a old school painting that somebody did in our office.
Yes.
It's literally this like probably in the 70s, and there's this guy in a white button-up shirt, khakis, and holding a clipboard, just hovering over us as we work every day. And I found out that's
Larry, and that's what he wore.
A legend.
No, that is it. He always wore khaki pants and a white shirt with some loafers.
So I haven't seen you wear yours yet since you wanted.
I haven't broken out yet. We're working on it. Maybe Halloween.
Okay. Oh, that's a really good idea. You should dress up as Larry for Halloween. Oh my gosh, that's hilarious. So now that you're in this role, like, tell me some of the things that really surprised you about this job that you didn't know was a part of this job.
I would say that kind of it goes back to what we were just talking about. I would say I didn't realize all the work that went into it before the vendors get down there.
Yeah.
I mean, I was a vendor before, and then I was a child growing up there, and I didn't see a lot of the stuff that I have to do to get ready for our weekend market, or for any market at that matter. There's a lot of cleanup that goes into it. Unfortunately, not everybody likes to throw their trash in a trash receptacle.
No.
So there's a lot of stuff that I have to pick up before the market opens up to customers and to vendors to get ready for that. There's a lot of bookkeeping that I didn't realize was involved. I'm trying to think of what else that, I mean, there's some things that are involved that I didn't realize that went into it.
Same for me, because, I grew up coming to the market as a customer with my mom, and for me, it's just like this nostalgic memory of just holding plastic bags full of vegetables and spending one-on-one time with my mom. And I really wanted to, help my community and do good work and not be in a cubicle and be with real people. That's what I wanted, right? Yeah. But what I didn't realize is that we are in the middle of the city, a very urban environment.
Very diverse.
The market is a wonderful, amazing space because we have all walks of life come to our market. So
absolutely.
If you have zero money in your pocket, or if you have $1 bajillion in your pocket, you can experience the same type of, experience.
Yeah, definitely.
Buying fruits and vegetables, being with your family, being with community, food access. I mean, that's the number one thing about the farmers market. But what I didn't realize is that when the market is completely empty in the middle of the night, there could be street racing, and we have to use a forklift to remove a car from the parking lot.
That was my first weekend. That was my first weekend. And I'm looking at this car and I'm like, oh my God, what do we do?
Right.
And another vendor was like, well, we're just going to have to go get so-and-so's forklift. And I'm like, wait, what? For what? Right. I'm so confused at this point. And he's like an old pro. He knows exactly what he needs to do with this car. And I'm like, okay, we can check that off the farmer's market bucket list that I didn't know even existed.
I am going to propose this. We need to write a book about all the crazy things that has happened.
So many. I mean, just in 1 month, the things that go on, it's like, wow, okay, we can check another thing off the bucket list.
Yes.
Because it's a very real list in my head. Like, I wouldn't see this anywhere else but the Minneapolis Farmers Market. Yeah.
And
wouldn't see this at the farm.
We can talk about it all day long, but you and I are the only ones that can
actually get it.
Yes. So, one thing that I know that's really important to me and to you is safety, right?
Yeah, definitely.
When I started at this market in 2020, it was all about public safety because of COVID.
Oh, sure. Yep.
And that in itself was a huge ordeal.
I hated being a vendor there at that time. Oh my God, it was the worst.
It literally was the worst.
It was the worst.
But that was like health safety, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Going into 2021, it was, we were starting to open back up again without wearing masks and 6 feet apart and all that jazz. And now this year, 2022, things that we've seen as market managers, because we're there before everybody's there, general public and vendors, I've come across a lot of scenarios of the unhoused community that sleep at the market.
Yeah.
There's things that happen at night that we just get to see the leftovers.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so I feel, you and I have just gone through a lot this summer because this is more than I've ever even seen with late night activity at the market.
Yeah, and at this point, I'm just like, nothing surprises me.
Yeah.
Especially, it was a Saturday I came in, and there was 2 couches out in the 300s.
Yeah.
In some of the stalls. There was 2
I
couches.
wasn't there, so you're by yourself.
I'm by myself. And I pull my car in and I'm like, oh my gosh, you are joking me right now. And I'm just laughing because like I said, at this point, nothing surprises me, right?
Right.
So one of the vendors was nice enough to come try to help me move them. And I was like, no, Lee, just leave them there. Like, we'll figure it out. But the funny thing to me about this was not just the couches, but when I got closer, they had been playing Monopoly. They had been playing Monopoly.
The real living room.
Yes.
In the middle of the market.
They had been playing Monopoly. There was Monopoly money, Monopoly pieces. So I don't know if they packed up their Monopoly board and hit the road or what the deal was, but it was like, okay.
I mean, were you laughing in that moment when you saw that?
I mean,
what were your feelings?
I think after I got through that moment, I was laughing because it was just like, what?
It's just so bizarre.
What is going on here?
Yeah.
It's so bizarre.
Well, so, I remember being kind of fed up at one point in this season. Like, wow, like we literally can't clean up all this mess on our own anymore. And I asked you, I was like, hey, what are some of your ideas? And you went back to like Larry days. And you're like, Larry actually had like really good relationships with the Minneapolis police. Like, yeah. And so I think one day we were de-escalating.
Yes.
So there was a customer that just is overly making, free speech comments, as he said, to like our teenage vendors. And we're like, adults, if they have conversations, I'll let you slide. But if you're talking to one of our, underage teenage employees and saying bad things, it's time to go, buddy.
It's time to go.
Yeah.
Hit the road.
Hit the road.
Yeah.
So we're de-escalating, and then we see a fellow or Minneapolis cop, and both you and I look at him like,
we're like, run! Let's go meet him.
Yes.
We couldn't get to him soon enough.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit about why you think it's important to have more than just the market help us with just creating like a safer space at the market.
Yeah, so I do feel like it's really important to have the MPD involved. I know right now they haven't had the easiest time with their reputation, but one person probably shouldn't ruin it for everybody, right?
Right.
So I think it's really important to have them down there for people to feel safer.
Yeah.
And the officer that came down, he really listened to our concerns. He really was willing to come out and walk the sheds with us.
Yes.
He's really a great guy. And on the number of occasions that he has stopped in, he's listened to all my concerns. He's given me multiple suggestions. But when we've been walking the sheds together, there's been customers that have come up and said, hey, you know what? Thank you so much for being here. It's so great to see you guys down here again, because that was such a staple of Larry days. There was always the cops down there just walking through, checking out the vendors, shopping, whatever.
Yeah. It's tough because, I mean, we're the Minneapolis farmers market, and this is our market, but we are the largest open air market in the upper Midwest.
Right.
So we serve more than just our community.
Absolutely.
We're a destination. We're a place also for wholesale.
Yeah. I mean, I heard last weekend that there was somebody that traveled from Missouri up to the market to get Brian's sauerkraut.
Oh, geez, Louise. That is pretty good sauerkraut.
I mean, it's really good, right? But that's a 6 hour.
It's a relish.
Oh, you're right. You're right. It is relish. But that's a 6 hour drive.
Yes. And so, I mean, I honestly believe, listen, the cops, you're right, they haven't had the best reputation in Minneapolis, and we're overcoming this safety conversation in Minneapolis. But just like I tell this to people all the time about how our market is almost like a training ground for people after COVID to learn how to talk to one another, look each other in the eye. This is an opportunity for the police officers to be part of the community again and not be them against us type thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so this is my call out. I want more of the community. I want firemen. I want police officers. I want the mayor. I want, everybody from all walks of life to be able to come to this market and just be themselves together in a safe space and focus on supporting local farmers and that kind of thing.
Right.
So
absolutely.
I'm really trying to figure out in the future how we can, beyond just our 3 sheds, how we can make this neighborhood more vibrant and lively, because we are here all the time.
Yeah.
After we're done with our vegetable growers, we're going to go into our Christmas trees, and then we'll do eggs, meat, and cheese, and then we'll start all over again in the spring. And so
and that's not something that a lot of people realize.
Right. And so for you, what do you see for the future for the farmers market in that neighborhood? Like, what would you like to see?
It's a loaded question. There's a lot of things I'd like to see. I'd like to see, going back to what we were just talking about, I'd like to see more of a community presence, all walks of life. I'd like to see a lot more of the police, the firefighters, those guys come down. I'd like to see our food access program grow even more than it already has, because you've done such a wonderful job. I mean, like that one weekend, and there's been numerous weekends, but I remember one weekend in particular, we were up 99% over the weekend before. So it's really
for people to know, the food access program is basically, if you have government assistance, we can exchange tokens so that they can use it with the farmers. So it's a win-win situation. People can get more food and the farmers can make more money.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's so important. And I've heard the term food desert used numerous times. And since we are a market that is within it's right on the outside of the food desert.
Yep. So Lindale is kind of where our market border is. And so like the north side of that is a food desert. So that means that there are families without vehicles that don't have access to grocery stores. So if we are not there to supply fresh food, then their only resources are like convenience stores.
Right. And I mean, what a huge resource we are at that point. What else would I like to see? I'd like to see a little bit more diversity with vendors in our market. We have so many wonderful produce vendors.
Yes.
But we also need a couple other vendors to spice it up.
Yeah. I'm going to just put it in there. One thing that I think is so special about Ashley, and I don't think you realize this because you're new, but you've actually brought, I don't know if this is the right term, Hispanic community or Latinx.
Okay. Yeah.
I don't know what the right term is.
Okay. Yes.
But so Ashley is actually fluent in Spanish.
Yes. Okay, I have noticed that too. So that's interesting you say that, because from the time that I started, I would see just a few people down at the market that were from that culture. But I've seen it grow so much up until this point in the season. And I really think that's so cool.
Yeah.
Because it's a huge part of the culture for Hispanics to go to
a market.
And why wouldn't they come to our market?
Yeah.
Like you said, we're the biggest open air market. So I mean, I think that's awesome, and I would love to continue to see more of that culture as well as other cultures come in.
Right. I think it's okay. So tell me, how did you learn Spanish and how you became fluent first?
Okay, sure. So I took 6 years in school at all ages. I started in middle school and I continued to college. So I can write and read and speak Spanish. Maybe it's not like super, super proper all the time, but I know enough to get me by, and I know enough to help people. And I think that's the main thing. Like, I had a couple come in who had just had this brand new little month-old baby, but they didn't speak any English. And so she was like, can you help me shop? And I was like, yeah, absolutely. And she's like, because I have these vouchers from WIC and I don't know who I can use them with. I don't know what I can use them for. And I was like, yeah, let's go. So I shut the office and I helped her shop, and she was like, thank you so much. We've never been down here before. It's really nice to know that you're down here, that you're able to help us and understand what it is that we're saying.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's so special and that's so important. And I think, you know, this is our first season. We're gonna spend the winter as things we don't have a full 7-day-a-week market anymore. We're gonna spend more time looking at what the future of our market is for next year. And I think it's so important that I love that you also think it's important for us to have a variety and spice things up, as you said.
Absolutely.
Because to me, if someone knows that someone speaks Spanish at the market, they can be themselves and they'll want to come more often.
I completely agree with that. And with working at the farm the past 5 years previous to this job, I spoke a lot of Spanish because our guys who come up from Mexico on the H-2A visa program, a lot of them speak enough English to get them by, but they don't speak a ton of English. So like, I was relaying things to them about orders we needed to fill and things that, you know, my dad, my cousin, they needed out of them. And they didn't necessarily understand what they needed in English. So I was able to relay it in Spanish. And I think that's huge, because at the end of the day, we're all people trying to come together for the same common goal.
Right.
And if we can get there a little bit easier by speaking each other's languages, all the better.
Excuse me. And I also think if we bring in other vendors that come from different cultures, that we could replicate what's happening with you in the Hispanic community.
Well, you know, with bringing in different vendors, offering different products, it's going to bring in different clientele, like you just said. So I think that's so important. And really, we are such a diverse city. And
we should be a reflection of it, right?
Exactly. Yeah. I love diversity.
So now let's talk about where we're at right now. So we are a farmer managed market, and actually the majority of our vegetable growers are Hmong growers. So tell me about, you know, what your experience has been with, because a lot of our Hmong growers don't speak much English either, but you don't speak Hmong.
I don't speak Hmong. I know a couple words. I know thank you and I know good morning, and that's all I know. Unfortunately, but gosh, they are so wonderful to work with. They're so inviting. They're so giving. Honestly, I've had the best time getting to know our Hmong vendors, because as a vendor, I knew a lot of farmers that were already down there, but I didn't really have a chance to get to know the Hmong vendors because they're pretty much selling the same product I was. So I didn't have really a big reason to go buy something from them. Right. So this was my opportunity to get to know them, and I have had the best experience. I had a lady who now I refer to as my market mom.
Yes, I know who you're talking about.
She would bring me food in the morning. There was another vendor that she made both of us that mung bean cake. Or pastry. It wasn't a pastry. What was it called?
It's a layered like tapioca cake.
Yes, there we go. And that was fantastic. So they accepted me just like I was a part of the culture, you know, of the market the entire time, even though they just got to know me this starting June.
I want you to tell us. We have a farmer, sweet couple, like they're the most. Anyways, Ashley comes back to the office and she goes, Sina, I have a Hmong name.
Oh, yes. Yes, I was so excited about this. I have a Hmong name. They call me Shua.
Shua.
I was so excited because I was like, oh my gosh, like they accept me. They're kind of adopting me into the market family now. That was huge for me. And I don't know if she knows how big that was for me, but that was like the moment that I was like, okay, it's starting to feel more like home.
Yeah. I thought that was so cute.
Yeah.
Absolutely adorable. They haven't given me a Hmong name yet, but just kidding.
Well, we're going to have to go ask her. We're going to get you named next year.
I am Southeast Asian, so Sina is a Cambodian name, and the Hmong community, they're like a little bit different from the Cambodian community.
Yeah, but they
so
always
think
you speak Hmong, which is so great.
Which is hilarious. Like, we'll have Hmong aunties come to the office and will only speak Hmong to me, and I'm just like,
yeah. Then they'll walk out and you're like, I have no idea what they just said, but nod and smile.
But it's really interesting to me because we just learn how to communicate in different ways, you know?
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
It's body gestures. We have to go a little above and beyond than just our words.
Yes.
But you still can have a beautiful relationship with someone without knowing the same language.
Absolutely.
But there is some times where things get lost in translation. We have scenarios that can be tough sometimes because of that. And I can think of, like we were talking about earlier before, how our vendors are just tired. They've worked hard all night long. They come to the market and maybe they didn't get what they expected. And there are situations where I know I want to speak in their native tongue and tell them in Hmong, like, what's happening right now. And we have resources, don't get me wrong. There's the
definitely.
Next generation
that are able to translate, but sometimes you don't have a translator there as early as you may need them.
At 5 a.m.
Yeah. And that creates a little bit of confusion.
So tell me, like, kind of how you feel about that, what you think can fix that,
So I had a situation over the summer where somebody thought they were getting 2 stalls and it really was 1.5, but he just didn't really understand that. And he was really not happy with me. And I just tried to explain to him, like, hey, this is all I can offer you. With the market being as full as it is, I would love to offer you 2 stalls together, but I can't.
Right.
And, how can we make this 1.5 work? And he was really upset with me. But at the end of the day, he did take the 1.5 stalls. He made it work. We made it work.
Yeah.
And he later came into the office and brought me a pumpkin. It was like, here's your pumpkin. And I took that as, I'm sorry for giving you a hard time this morning. Let's move past this. And we did. So, it's not always easy, but somehow we find a way around it and we find a way to work through it because at the end of the day, we're just here to do the same thing, which is bring food to people who are looking to buy it.
Well, Ashley, you're doing an amazing job. I just have to tell you that.
Thank you.
Like, being thrown into this.
Thank you.
And it's just been so beautiful to watch you build relationships with people. Because this market is big. It's 170 stalls.
Yeah.
And there's, hundreds of people working at this market. So I kind of have, like, people that I kind of talk to. You have your people.
Yes.
And, like, it's been a really good vibe having you here at this market. Do you miss farming?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
Yep, I'll be honest. I never thought I would be a farmer, right? I mean, I grew up around this, and that's what my family does. That's what my dad has done since the age of 8. He went to work with his older brother, and they were the ones that bought the farm eventually. And growing up around it, it was just kind of like, oh, like that's what my family does, but maybe that's not what I'm gonna do. And the past 5 years with being here at the farm and working here, I grew a huge love for farming. So I do miss farming, and there's so many things that I miss about it, but the farm's always going to be here.
Yeah.
God willing. And I'm definitely going to go back to the farm to plant in February, because we do greenhouse planting. And there are other things that I'm able to help out with at the farm. So I get to fill that
farming void.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah. So.
Yeah. For folks who've never been to the market, Riverside Farms is like the cutest ever. They have the best 2 guys at the market.
Yeah, they're fantastic. Yeah, Ladio and Mike. So Ladio has worked for my dad since he was 15. He came with his uncle from Mexico. And my dad actually, back in the 90s, my dad and my uncle Joe, helped Ladio and his wife get their citizenship.
Wow.
Yeah. So Ladio is such a huge part of our family and our farm, as well as Mike, who's been here for 14 years, who is Ladio's cousin. And they're like the staple of the Riverside.
They
food.
are.
Like, people love them.
They're like a celebrity at our market.
They truly are. Like, people come down just to see them or to bring them like goodies. Like, they're always getting something to eat. And I'm like, where did you get these? Oh, so-and-so made them for me. Well, where did you get that? Oh, so-and-so brought it for me. And I'm like, oh my God, you guys, like, really?
And
you guys doing any work?
When you see them from a distance, they look like tough guys.
They do, but they're such big teddy bears.
They really are.
Yes.
They give the best hugs.
Yes.
And they're the sweetest guys
and
ever.
they do anything for you.
Yeah.
I mean, there's been so many mornings when I'm down there at 4:30 that they'll come early to put out the ATMs, or they'll stay later to help me put away the ATMs or clean the bathrooms with the power washer, because that was needed to be done.
Right.
And they were like, yeah, we'll stay later, you know?
Yeah, I've seen your Riverside crew be a lot more part of this market since you started.
I would agree with that.
It's been really handy.
Yeah, I would totally agree.
And first of all, I have to say this too. I've known your dad for 3 years. He owns the membership of this market.
Yes.
And when I didn't know that was your dad, because
you
two are completely different people.
Yeah, we are very night and day. My dad is a man of very few words, but when he speaks, you usually listen because he knows what he's talking about. But yeah, we're night and day.
We're night and day, but awesome guy.
Absolutely.
When you're not there, when I'm there during the weekdays, he'll even help me out, and I'm just like, thank you.
Yeah, my dad's a good guy.
Yeah, he's a great guy,
and he loves the farmers market. He
does.
I mean, like I said, I'm here because of the farmers market, so maybe that's his big love of it. I don't know, but no, he loves the farmers market, and he enjoys just coming down there, even when he's not selling down there. Like, there was one morning I was like, what are you doing here? And he's like, I just came to see what was going on. I'm like, it's 5 o'clock in the morning. And he's like, yeah, just thought I'd see what was down here today. Okay, thanks for stopping. You know, but when I left the farm, I called my dad and I was like, yeah, I got the job. And he goes, yeah, that's great. You know, I was thinking you'd get it. And I said, I'm going to miss you. And he goes, you don't have to miss me. You're going to see my ugly mug every day. And I was like, yeah, whatever. Because when I was at the farm, my dad and I always had lunch together. It was like our hour to like talk about what was going on at the farm, but also like talk about like what was going on in our lives. So like that's something that I genuinely miss. But when he said, you're going to see my ugly mug every day, I was like, yeah, okay. Well, I didn't realize he went down there every day. Yeah, it's like a part of his daily routine.
I can see that transitioning into the market, because you and I, even though you and I are the ones that run this entire, operation, we really don't see much of each other during the day.
That's true.
Yeah, you're covering one thing, I'm covering another thing. But when your dad comes in, I usually just say hi to him, but I kind of let you two have your moment.
Our morning moment. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, and I treasure that. I mean, I've learned so much from him about farming, but I've also learned so much from him, in life. Yeah. So it's cool that he and I can still continue to share this love of this industry, farming. Yeah. And I go to him for a lot of market stuff, like, hey, what do you think about this? Hey, what about that? When is that going to be ready in the field? When is this coming in? Or whatever. So it's pretty cool to now have a different take on our relationship.
Yeah, you have lots of knowledge of farming. I mean, I go to you and be like, what is this squash?
What is this? Yeah.
So I think that's super awesome and really special. And I think the market's future is going to look really, really bright with you and I in leadership. I
agree.
think we kind of drive each other with questions and how we think about things.
Yeah.
And
we each have a different take on it.
Yeah.
And I feel like when we come together on something, we come up with a really great solution to whatever the problem is or whatever the situation is.
Yeah. So I'm really excited. I'm so excited for what the future is going to hold for this market. I love that we can like vent to each other about the crazy things that happens because you and I are the only ones that will
understand. Yeah. Sometimes it's just a look and you're like, what happened?
Yes.
Or like, what is going on now? Yeah. Definitely.
But yeah, I mean, at this point, the future of farming, the future of our farmers market, we have our ideas. We don't know exactly what's going to happen, but I think you and I are going to come up with some really cool things.
We're going to rock it.
We're going to rock it.
Yeah.
So thank you, Ashley, for joining
Sina.
us on Farm to Market.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah.